What if the most advanced civilization in the galaxy had been searching for something they lost centuries ago, only to discover it sitting on the dashboard of a human mechanics workshop? What if that simple photograph of a laughing child held the key to understanding why humans were the only species in the known universe capable of true emotional resilience? Marcus Chun thought he was just helping a stranded traveler when he agreed to fix her damaged spacecraft. He had no idea that the faded photo of his daughter Emma, taped to his workbench, would unravel a cosmic mystery that had puzzled alien scientists for over 300 years. Some discoveries change everything. Some moments rewrite the fabric of reality itself. This is the story of how one single father's simple act of kindness became the catalyst for the most significant revelation in galactic history. It's about what happens when the most technologically advanced beings in the universe realize they've been missing the most important element of existence. And that element can only be found in the heart of humanity. The universe was about to learn why humans don't just survive against impossible odds. They thrive because of them. Marcus Chun wiped the grease from his hands with a torn rag that had seen better decades. The small auto repair shop in Millfield, Montana, wasn't much to look at, but it kept food on the table and a roof over his and Emma's heads. That was enough. It had to be enough since Sarah died 3 years ago, leaving him to navigate single parenthood while keeping the family business alive. The bell above the door chimed, and Marcus looked up from the engine he'd been wrestling with all morning. A woman stood in the doorway, but something about her seemed off. Her clothes looked expensive, almost impossibly pristine, yet she appeared genuinely distressed. Her skin had an unusual pale blue tint, and her eyes were too large, too bright. Marcus blinked, attributing the oddness to the harsh fluorescent lighting and his own exhaustion. "My vehicle broke down about 2 miles north of here," she said, her voice carrying a strange musical quality. "The local authorities directed me to your establishment. They said you were the best mechanic in 3 counties. Marcus almost laughed. He was the only mechanic in 3 counties, but he didn't correct her. "What kind of car are we talking about? Foreign? Domestic?" The woman hesitated. "It's quite foreign, yes. The propulsion system has suffered multiple cascade failures, and the quantum matrices are completely destabilized. I'm afraid I'm stranded until repairs can be made." Marcus stared at her. Quantum matrices? He'd heard some wild technical jargon from city folks trying to sound smart about their cars, but this was a new one. "Look, lady, I work on engines, transmissions, electrical systems. I don't know what kind of fancy hybrid you're driving, but if it's got wheels and an engine, I can probably figure out." "It doesn't have wheels," she said quietly. Before Marcus could respond, Emma burst through the back door that connected the shop to their small living quarters. At 7 years old, she was all elbows and knees, with Sarah's bright green eyes and Marcus's stubborn streak. Her school clothes were already dirty from playing in the yard. "Dad, I finished my homework. Can I help in the shop?" She stopped when she saw the stranger, immediately hiding behind Marcus's leg in that shy way she'd developed since losing her mother. "Emma, this is—" Marcus realized he hadn't gotten the woman's name. "Zura," the woman supplied, but her attention was completely focused on Emma. Something flickered across her features. Surprise, recognition, something Marcus couldn't identify. "She's beautiful." "Thanks. Emma, why don't you go start dinner? I'll be in after I talk to Miss Zara about her car." Emma nodded and scampered back inside, but not before giving Zara another curious look. Marcus noticed Zara watching his daughter leave with an expression of wonder that seemed excessive for a simple introduction. "So about this vehicle of yours," Marcus said, bringing Zara's attention back to him. "You want to take me to see it? I got a tow truck if we need to haul it back here." "That won't be necessary. But, yes, I would appreciate your expertise. I should warn you, though, what you're about to see may be challenging to your worldview." Marcus grabbed his toolbox and truck keys. In his experience, city folks often had a flair for the dramatic. "Lady, I've been fixing things since I was 12. Not much challenges my worldview anymore." The drive north took them past the old Morrison Ranch and into the foothills where pine trees grew thick and wild. Zara directed him down a dirt road Marcus had never noticed before, despite living in this area his entire life. The road seemed to shimmer in places like heat mirages on summer asphalt. "Stop here," Zara said. Marcus parked and looked around. They were in a small clearing surrounded by towering pines, but he didn't see any vehicle. "Where's your car?" Zara touched something on her wrist, and the air in front of them rippled like water. The shimmer faded, revealing a craft unlike anything Marcus had ever seen. It wasn't a car or a plane or anything that belonged in his understanding of the world. The vessel was roughly the size of a small aircraft, but its surface seemed to flow like liquid metal. Symbols glowed along its hull in patterns that hurt to look at directly. Marcus's toolbox hit the ground with a clatter. "I told you it might be challenging," Zara said gently. For a long moment, Marcus just stood there, his brain trying to process what he was seeing. Every rational part of his mind screamed that this was impossible, a hallucination, some kind of elaborate hoax. But the mechanic in him, the part that understood how things worked and why they broke, was already studying the craft with professional interest. "You're not from around here," he said finally. "No, I'm from very far away. My name is Zarathel Nemanai, and I'm what you would call an alien. My ship suffered critical damage when I encountered an unexpected solar storm in your system's outer rim. I managed to reach your planet, but barely." Marcus walked slowly around the craft, noting scorch marks along what he assumed was its hull. "Whatever had hit this thing, it had hit hard. And you want me to fix it? Your people have a reputation throughout this sector of the galaxy. Humans are known for their incredible resourcefulness and their ability to solve problems that stump more advanced civilizations. I was told that if anyone could repair my ship with primitive tools and technology, it would be a human engineer. We have a reputation." Marcus reached out to touch the hull, surprised to find it warm and slightly soft like living tissue. "Oh yes, stories of human ingenuity and persistence have spread far beyond your solar system. There are legends about humans who've escaped impossible situations using nothing but scrap metal and determination. The Galactic Council has entire databases documenting human problem-solving capabilities." Marcus pulled out a flashlight and shone it into what looked like an access panel. The interior was a maze of crystalline structures and flowing energy patterns. It was like looking inside a living computer designed by angels. "I don't recognize any of this technology. The basic principles should be familiar. Energy flow, containment systems, propulsion mechanics. My people have found that human minds excel at understanding underlying patterns, even when the specific technology is foreign." For the next hour, Zara explained the ship's systems in terms Marcus could understand. The quantum matrices were essentially super advanced electrical circuits. The propulsion system worked on principles similar to magnetism, just operating in dimensions humans couldn't perceive. The cascade failures were like blown fuses in a house electrical system, except these fuses controlled space-time distortions. As she talked, Marcus found himself genuinely interested. The technology was impossibly advanced, but the problems were familiar: damaged connections, overloaded systems, backup power failures. It was like working on a car, if cars could fold space and time. "I think I can help," he said finally. "But I'm going to need some time, and I'll have to bring some tools from a shop. This isn't exactly a roadside repair." Zara's relief was visible. "Thank you. You have no idea how important this is. I carry data that could revolutionize galactic civilization. Information that could save millions of lives." "What kind of information?" "Research on emotional resilience and adaptive intelligence. My people have been studying these concepts for centuries, trying to understand why some species thrive while others stagnate or destroy themselves. The data I carry represents 300 years of study across 47 different civilizations." Marcus wasn't sure he understood the implications, but he recognized the weight of responsibility in Zara's voice. "Well then, we better get you fixed up and on your way." As they drove back to town, Zara was quiet, staring out at the Montana landscape with fascination. "Your daughter," she said finally. "Emma. How old is she?" 7. "What?" She has remarkable eyes. Very alive. Very aware. Marcus glanced at her. You got all that from a 10-second introduction? My people are quite good at reading emotional resonance. Your daughter radiates a particular type of energy that we've been trying to understand for centuries. It's rare, even among humans. What kind of energy? Hope despite loss. Joy despite hardship. Love despite fear. It's a combination my people call eternal flame, the ability to maintain positive emotional states even when circumstances suggest despair would be more logical. Marcus thought about Emma's laughter echoing through their small house, even on the hardest days since Sarah's death. How she still believed in magic and happy endings despite watching her mother waste away in a hospital bed. How she'd adapted to their new life without complaint, finding joy in simple things like helping in the shop or reading books by flashlight under her covers. She's pretty amazing, he agreed. She's extraordinary. And she's not alone, is she? This resilience is common among your species. I guess. We're pretty stubborn when we need to be. Zara made a sound that might have been laughter. Stubborn. Yes, I suppose that's one way to put it. They reached the shop as the sun was setting behind the mountains. Marcus could see Emma's silhouette in the kitchen window, probably making her famous grilled cheese sandwiches for dinner. The sight filled him with the familiar mixture of love and worry that had defined his life since becoming a single parent. I'll come back tomorrow with the right tools, he told Zara. Should take me a couple days to figure out your systems and jury-rig something that'll hold long enough to get you home. Thank you, Marcus. You're confirming everything we've heard about human nature. As Marcus walked toward his house, Zara called after him. Your wife, Emma's mother. What happened to her? Marcus stopped, his hand on the door handle. It was a question he'd answered too many times, but somehow it felt different coming from this strange woman who claimed to be from another world. Cancer. Fought it for 2 years. She never gave up, not until the very end. Even then, she spent her last days making sure Emma and I would be okay without her. Another eternal flame, Zara said softly. I'm beginning to understand. That night, after Emma was asleep, Marcus sat at his workbench in the shop, staring at the photo taped to his toolbox. It showed Emma at 4 years old, sitting on Sarah's shoulders at the county fair, both of them laughing at something outside the frame. He'd carried that picture everywhere for 3 years, a reminder of what he was working for. Tomorrow, he'd try to fix an alien spaceship. It seemed impossible, but then again, so had raising a daughter alone while keeping a failing business afloat. So had watching his wife die and still finding reasons to smile for Emma's sake. So had most of his life when he really thought about it. Humans might not have fancy technology or quantum matrices, but they had something else. They had the ability to keep going when logic said to quit. They had hope that burned bright even in the darkest times. They had love that persisted despite loss. Marcus wasn't sure if that was enough to save galactic civilizations, but it had been enough to save him. Maybe it would be enough for Zara too. Outside, the Montana sky blazed with stars, each one a sun with worlds that might be home to beings he couldn't imagine. For the first time in his life, Marcus Chun didn't feel alone in the universe. He felt like part of something bigger, something important. He just didn't know yet how important it would turn out to be. The next morning arrived gray and cold, with frost covering the tools Marcus had left outside the shop. Emma was already dressed and eating cereal when he stumbled into the kitchen, coffee mug in hand like a lifeline. Dad, are you going to fix the Space Lady's ship today? Emma asked between spoonfuls of Lucky Charms. Marcus nearly choked on his coffee. What did you call her? The Space Lady. I know she's from space, Dad. Her eyes are too big, and she smells like Starlight. Starlight doesn't have a smell, kiddo. Emma gave him the patient look she'd inherited from her mother, the one that suggested adults were charmingly simple. Everything has a smell if you know how to notice it. Mom taught me that before she went to heaven. Marcus sat down across from his daughter, studying her face. Sometimes Emma said things that made him wonder if 7-year-olds understood the world better than adults gave them credit for. What does Starlight smell like? Like cold fire and long distances, like being very far from home, but still remembering what home feels like. That was uncomfortably accurate for someone who'd supposedly never met an alien before yesterday. Marcus made a mental note to have a longer conversation with Emma about strangers, even if those strangers happened to be from other planets. "The school bus will be here in 10 minutes, he said, changing the subject. "You got your backpack ready?" "Yep. Can I meet the space lady when I get home? I want to show her my science project about the solar system." "We'll see. I'm going to be working on her ship today, and it might be dangerous." Emma's face fell. "Oh, okay." Marcus felt the familiar tug of guilt that came with disappointing his daughter, but safety had to come first. Even if he wasn't entirely sure what safety meant when dealing with technology that could fold space-time. After Emma left for school, Marcus loaded his truck with every tool he thought might be useful for alien spacecraft repair. He'd spent half the night researching electromagnetic systems and quantum mechanics on the internet, though he suspected Wikipedia wasn't exactly prepared for practical application to extraterrestrial technology. Zara was waiting for him at the ship, looking exactly as she had the day before. Marcus was beginning to wonder if her people changed clothes, or if that flowing, impossibly clean outfit was somehow self-maintaining. "Did you sleep?" he asked, then immediately felt stupid. Did aliens sleep? "I entered a restorative trance state for approximately 4 hours. It's sufficient for short-term functioning." Zara gestured toward the ship. "I've run additional diagnostics on the damaged systems. The cascade failure is worse than I initially thought." Marcus spent the morning learning to read alien diagnostic displays that projected themselves in midair like science fiction movie effects. The more he understood about the ship's systems, the more impressed he became with the complexity, and the more worried he grew about his ability to fix it. "This quantum matrix thing," he said, pointing to a crystalline structure the size of a car engine. "It's like the heart of the whole system, right?" An excellent analogy. The quantum matrix regulates dimensional stability and provides the foundation for faster-than-light travel. Without it functioning properly, I'm trapped in normal space-time. Marcus studied the damaged crystal formations. They look like they'd been struck by lightning from the inside. "And you're sure this solar storm you hit caused all this damage?" Zara hesitated. "The storm was unusual, more powerful than our instruments predicted. My people have been studying solar phenomena for millennia, but this was unlike anything in our databases." Something in her tone made Marcus look up from the damaged systems. "You're not telling me everything. I wasn't certain it was relevant." "Lady, I'm trying to fix your spaceship with a wrench and some jumper cables. Everything's relevant." Zara touched one of the ship's control surfaces, and holographic displays filled the air around them. Star charts, energy readings, data streams, and languages Marcus couldn't read. "The storm appeared to be artificially generated. We detected signs of massive technological intervention in your son's magnetic field." Someone was messing with our son? Not someone. Something. The energy signatures were unlike anything produced by any known galactic civilization. Whatever created that storm was operating on principles we don't understand. Marcus set down his tools. "Are you telling me that something unknown and powerful is playing around with our solar system?" "I'm telling you that the storm that damaged my ship may have been a test, or a warning, or possibly a greeting. We simply don't know." "Great. Alien visitors, mysterious solar storms, and now his daughter was asking to meet the space lady." Marcus's quiet life in Montana was getting complicated fast. They worked through the morning, with Zara explaining alien engineering principles while Marcus translated them into concepts he could work with. It was like learning a new language where every word had 17 syllables and 3 dimensions. Around noon, Marcus called for a lunch break. They sat in the clearing, sharing sandwiches Marcus had packed, while Zara studied the surrounding forest with the same fascination she'd shown for Emma. "Your planet is remarkable," she said, watching a squirrel leap between pine branches. "So much chaotic beauty, so much uncontrolled growth and adaptation. Most worlds aren't like this. Most worlds my people encounter are either carefully maintained gardens or sterile technological landscapes. Worlds where nature has been optimized for efficiency and predictability. This," she gestured at the wild Montana landscape, This is alive in a way we rarely see. Marcus bit into his sandwich, thinking about that. Is that good or bad? It explains a great deal about your species. Humans evolved in chaos and learned to thrive in uncertainty. Most galactic civilizations eliminated uncertainty from their worlds millions of years ago. They created perfect, stable societies where nothing unexpected ever happens. Sounds boring. It is. That's the problem. During the afternoon, Marcus made real progress on the ship's systems. The quantum matrix was beyond his ability to repair, but he figured out how to bypass the damaged sections and reroute power through backup systems. It was like performing heart surgery with a chainsaw, but it was working. You're doing something I wouldn't have thought possible, Zara said, watching him jury-rig alien technology with copper wire and electrical tape. My people would have declared this ship irreparable and waited for rescue. Your people never had to keep a 1987 Chevy running for 200,000 miles. Is that difficult? Everything's difficult if you don't give up on it. As the afternoon wore on, Marcus began to notice that Zara was studying him as much as she was helping with the repairs. She watched how he approached problems, how he refused to accept that something couldn't be fixed, how he found creative solutions when conventional ones failed. Can I ask you something? Marcus said, taking a break from wrestling with what Zara called a dimensional stabilizer. This research you mentioned yesterday about emotional resilience. What's that about? Zara sat on a fallen log, her two large eyes reflecting the afternoon light filtering through the pine trees. My people, the Vithrak, have existed as a space-faring civilization for over 50,000 of your years. In that time, we've encountered hundreds of intelligent species across dozens of galaxies. That's a lot of alien neighbors. Yes, and we've watched most of them die. The weight in her voice made Marcus stop what he was doing. Die how? Stagnation, despair, the inability to adapt when circumstances change. We call it civilization fatigue. Species reach a certain level of technological advancement, eliminate all challenges and uncertainties from their existence, and then slowly lose the will to continue. Marcus thought about that. They get bored to death? In essence, yes. Without struggle, without obstacles to overcome, most intelligent species lose their sense of purpose. They stop reproducing, stop creating, stop dreaming. Eventually, they simply fade away. But humans are different. Humans are unprecedented. Your species faces constant challenges, natural disasters, diseases, conflicts, scarcity. Yet instead of being worn down by these struggles, you're strengthened by them. You develop what we call adaptive resilience, the ability to not just survive hardship, but to grow because of it. Marcus wiped sweat from his forehead, leaving a streak of alien grease across his skin. We're too stubborn to quit, you mean? You transform suffering into strength, loss into love, fear into courage. It's the rarest trait in the galaxy, and we've been studying it for centuries, trying to understand how to replicate it in other species. Any luck? Zara's expression grew sad. None. We could describe it, measure it, document it, but we can't recreate it. It seems to require something our advanced civilizations have lost. What's that? The willingness to risk everything for something that matters. They worked until the sun began setting behind the mountains. Marcus had managed to restore partial power to most of the ship's systems, though the quantum matrix still flickered unpredictably. It would hold together long enough for Zara to reach a proper repair facility, but just barely. You've accomplished something remarkable, Zara said as they packed up the tools. This ship should have been impossible to repair with primitive technology. Primitive, huh? Thanks a lot. I meant no offense. By galactic standards, human technology is equivalent to your Stone Age compared to ours. Yet you've solved problems that would have stymied our best engineers. Maybe your engineers are too smart for their own good. As they drove back to town, Zara was quiet, staring out at the darkening landscape. Marcus could tell she was thinking about something important, the way Emma got when she was working through a difficult math problem. Marcus, she said finally, would it be possible for me to meet Emma again? I'd like to ask her something. What kind of something? A question about hope. When they reached the shop, Emma was already home from school, sitting at the workbench doing homework under the harsh fluorescent lights. She looked up when they entered, her face brightening at the sight of Zara. "Hi, Space Lady. Did Dad fix your ship?" "Your father is an exceptional engineer," Zara said, approaching the workbench slowly. "He's given me hope that I can return home." Emma smiled, then noticed Zara staring at something on the workbench. Marcus followed her gaze and realized she was looking at the photo taped to his toolbox, the picture of Emma and Sarah at the county fair. "That's my mom," Emma said softly. "She died when I was 5, but we have lots of pictures so I won't forget her." Zara's reaction was immediate and intense. Her large eyes widened even further, and she made a sound like a sharp intake of breath. May I look at this more closely?" Emma nodded, and Zara leaned over the photo, studying it with the same intensity she'd shown when analyzing her ship's damaged systems. "This expression," she whispered, "this exact emotional resonance. The joy despite knowledge of impending loss. The love that transcends fear of separation. The hope that persists in the face of certain tragedy." Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. "What are you talking about?" Zara straightened, her eyes bright with something that looked like excitement. "This photograph captures the exact emotional state we've been trying to understand for 3 centuries. Your wife knew she was dying when this was taken, didn't she?" Emma nodded. "Mom was sick, but she said the fair was the most important place to be happy." "And," Zara turned to Emma, "you knew your mother was sick, but you chose to be happy anyway." "Being sad wouldn't make Mom better," Emma said with the simple logic of childhood. "So we decided to be happy instead." Zara stared at them both for a long moment, and Marcus could almost see the pieces falling into place in her mind. "You decided to be happy, not despite the circumstances, but because of them. Because happiness was the most important thing you could give each other." "Is that weird?" Emma asked. "It's impossible," Zara breathed. "Every psychological model we have says that intelligent beings faced with certain loss should experience despair, not joy. Yet here you are, proving our models wrong." Marcus was beginning to understand. "You've been studying this exact thing, for centuries. We've documented this phenomenon in humans across your entire history. Soldiers who sing in trenches during wars. Parents who laugh with dying children. Lovers who dance while their world burns. It defies all logic, yet it's the foundation of human survival." Emma tilted her head, studying Zara with curious eyes. "Don't your people know how to be happy when things are sad?" "No," Zara said simply. "We don't. And because we don't, our civilization is dying." The shop fell silent except for the hum of fluorescent lights and the distant sound of traffic on the highway. Marcus looked at his daughter, this amazing little girl who'd taught him that losing everything didn't mean losing hope, and realized that maybe their small life in a small town was more important than he'd ever imagined. "The data I carry," Zara continued, "it's 300 years of research into human emotional resilience. We're hoping to learn how to teach this ability to other species before they fade into extinction." "Can you?" Marcus asked. "I don't know. But this photograph, this moment of perfect emotional paradox, it might be the key we've been searching for." Emma looked between them, then smiled. "You can have a copy of the picture if you want. Dad has lots more at home." Zara's expression was one of wonder. "You would give me something so precious?" "Pictures are for sharing," Emma said. "That's what Mom always said. The more you share happy memories, the more happy there is in the world." Marcus watched this exchange and felt something shift inside him. His quiet life, his simple struggles, his ordinary love for his daughter, somehow was all connected to something vast and cosmic. The photo on his toolbox wasn't just a memory anymore. It was evidence of humanity's greatest strength. Zara was still staring at the photograph when Emma tugged on her sleeve. "Want to see my science project about the solar system? I drew pictures of all the planets." "I would be honored," Zara said, and Marcus could hear the genuine emotion in her voice. As Emma pulled out her school project, chattering excitedly about Mars and Jupiter and the possibility of life on other worlds, Marcus realized that tomorrow would bring more than just finishing the repairs on an alien spaceship. Tomorrow would bring the moment when Zara took her data and that photograph back to her people, carrying with her a piece of Montana sky and a 7-year-old girl's wisdom about happiness in the face of loss. He had no idea that tomorrow would also bring visitors who'd been watching from the shadows, waiting to see if humanity truly was as remarkable as the legends claimed. Marcus woke to the sound of Emma screaming. He rolled out of bed and rushed to her room, where she sat bolt upright, pointing at the window. Outside, 3 more ships hung in the air above their property, their hulls gleaming like polished mirrors in the early morning light. "It's okay, kiddo," Marcus said, though his heart was hammering. "Remember Zara? These might be your friends." Emma shook her head. "Those aren't nice ships, Dad. They feel angry." Before Marcus could ask what she meant, a voice filled the house. Not from speakers, but emanating from the air itself, deep and resonant and completely emotionless. Human designated Marcus Chun. "You will present yourself and the Vithrak fugitive for examination. You have 60 seconds to comply." Fugitive? Marcus looked out the window again. The ships were definitely not like Zara's craft. These were angular, aggressive-looking vessels that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "Emma, get dressed quickly. We need to go to the shop." They hurried outside to find Zara already waiting by Marcus's truck, her face pale with something that looked like fear. "Who are they?" Marcus asked. "The Hegemony Council. They're what you might call galactic police. They maintain order and conformity across civilized space. And they called you a fugitive. My research into human emotional patterns has been deemed dangerous to galactic stability. The Council believes that spreading knowledge of human resilience could destabilize their carefully ordered civilizations." Emma tugged on Marcus's sleeve. "Dad, they're coming down." 3 figures materialized in the clearing beside the shop, transported by columns of harsh blue light. They were tall, impossibly thin, with silver skin and no visible features except dark holes where eyes and mouth should have been. They moved with mechanical precision, and when they spoke, their voices came from everywhere at once. "Vithrak researcher Zerathel Nemanai, you are in violation of Hegemony Directive 1247, the prohibition against sharing dangerous cultural concepts with unmonitored species. You will surrender your research data and submit to memory reconditioning." Zara stepped forward, placing herself between the Hegemony agents and Marcus and Emma. "The human species deserves to know their place in galactic civilization. They deserve to understand their unique value. Human emotional instability poses a threat to established order. Your research into their adaptive resilience violates the stability protocols established after the Third Galactic War." Marcus didn't understand all the political implications, but he understood that these beings wanted to hurt Zara and suppress information about humanity. That was enough to make his decision. "Now hold on, just a minute," he said, stepping up beside Zara. "You can't just show up on my property and start threatening my friends." All 3 Hegemony agents turned their featureless faces toward him. "Human, you do not comprehend the forces at work here. Return to your dwelling. This matter does not concern you." "Like hell it doesn't. Zara's been nothing but honest with me. She's trying to help other civilizations learn from us." That sounds like a good thing to me. Human emotional patterns are chaotic and dangerous. They must not be allowed to spread throughout galactic civilization. Emma stepped out from behind Marcus, her small face set in determined lines. "Why don't you like feelings?" The agents seemed taken aback by the directness of her question. "Child, emotional instability leads to conflict, suffering, and civilizational collapse. Order and logic prevent these outcomes. But if you don't have feelings, how do you know what's important? Importance is determined by efficiency, productivity, and stability." "That sounds really boring," Emma said. "Don't you ever want to laugh or hug someone or eat ice cream just because it tastes good?" Marcus watched something extraordinary happen. The Hegemony agents, beings who supposedly represented the pinnacle of galactic civilization, were being systematically dismantled by a 7-year-old's questions. They kept trying to explain their logical systems, but Each explanation only highlighted the emptiness at the center of their existence. "We do not require temporary pleasures," one agent said. "We have achieved perfect satisfaction through the elimination of desire." "But if you don't want anything, what's the point of being alive?" Emma asked. The agents fell silent for a long moment. Marcus could almost see them struggling with a concept that didn't fit into their programmed responses. Finally, the center agent spoke again. "This conversation is irrelevant. Vithrak researcher, you will surrender the data." "No," Zara said firmly. "I won't." The agents raised what Marcus assumed were weapons, devices that hummed with dangerous energy. "You will comply or be terminated." That's when something inside Marcus snapped. These beings had traveled across the galaxy to threaten a woman who'd done nothing but try to help, and now they were pointing weapons at her while his daughter watched. Every protective instinct he developed as a father and a human being kicked in at once. "You want our data?" Marcus stepped forward, ignoring the weapons pointed at him. "You'll have to go through me first." No," Emma cried, but she immediately moved to stand beside him. "Emma, get back. We stick together," she said firmly. "That's what families do." Zara looked at them both with amazement. "You would risk your lives for someone you barely know?" "You're not someone we barely know," Marcus said. "You're our friend, and friends protect each other." The hegemony agents seemed genuinely confused by this display. "Your actions are illogical. You cannot hope to prevail against superior technology and firepower. Why do you persist?" "Because it's right," Emma said simply. "Define right in measurable terms." Emma thought about that for a moment, then smiled. "Right is when you do something good, even when it's hard and scary, and you might get hurt. Right is when you help someone because they need help, not because you get something back. Right is when you stand up to bullies, even when they're bigger than you. These concepts are subjective and unreliable. These concepts," Zara said, her voice gaining strength, "are why the human species has survived every catastrophe their planet has thrown at them for millions of years. While advanced civilizations crumble from ennui and purposelessness, humans grow stronger through adversity." Marcus could see that Zara was building toward something, her scientific mind working even in the face of immediate danger. "You want to know what my research really discovered? You want to understand why human resilience is so dangerous to your perfect order?" The agents waited, their weapons still trained on the small group. "Because humans understand something the rest of galactic civilization has forgotten. Meaning comes from struggle. Purpose comes from sacrifice. Love grows strongest when tested by loss. You've created a galaxy without challenge, without growth, without the very struggles that make existence worthwhile. Order prevents suffering. Order prevents living." Zara's voice rang across the clearing. "Look at them." She gestured toward Marcus and Emma. A single father who lost his wife to cancer, yet chose to build a life of love and purpose for his daughter. A child who faced the ultimate loss, yet still believes in joy and kindness. They've survived everything your perfect civilizations would consider unbearable, and they've emerged stronger, not weaker. Emma tugged on Marcus's shirt. "Dad," she whispered, "I think their ships are broken." Marcus looked up. The 3 hegemony vessels were flickering, their perfect mirror surfaces wavering like heat mirages. Lights were blinking erratically along their hulls. "What's happening?" he asked Zara. "The ships are connected to their operators' neural networks. Strong emotional resonance can disrupt their control systems. They've never encountered anything like this level of—" She paused, searching for the right word, authentic feeling. The lead agent's voice was strained when it spoke again. "Cease this emotional bombardment. You are interfering with our operational capacity." "We're not doing anything," Marcus said. "We're just being ourselves." "That's the point," Zara said excitedly. "They literally cannot process genuine emotion. Their entire civilization has been sterilized of feeling for so long that exposure to real human passion overwhelms their systems." Emma stepped forward, looking up at the tall, featureless beings with a mixture of curiosity and pity. "You're scared," she said softly. "You're scared of feelings because you think they'll hurt you. We do not experience fear. Yes, you do. I can see it. You're scared that if you let yourselves feel things, you won't be perfect anymore. You're scared that caring about stuff will make you weak. The agent's voice wavered. Emotional attachment leads to pain. Sometimes, Emma agreed. When my mom died, it hurt so much I thought I might break. But you know what? Loving her was still worth it. Even if it hurt. Even if I miss her every day. Because love makes everything else better. Marcus watched in amazement as his daughter, this incredible little person who'd faced more loss than any child should have to endure, taught ancient galactic beings about the value of human emotion. The hegemony ships were now visibly struggling to maintain altitude, their perfect forms distorting as their control systems fought to process concepts they'd never been designed to handle. You think feelings make us weak, Marcus added, but they're what make us strong. When Sarah was dying, our love for each other didn't make the pain worse. It made it bearable. It gave us reason to keep fighting, to keep hoping, to keep believing that life was worth living even when it was ending. When bad things happen, Emma continued, feelings help us figure out what matters. If you can't feel sad, you can't really feel happy either. If you can't feel scared, you can't feel brave. They're all connected. Zara stepped closer to the struggling agents. This is what my research discovered. Emotional resilience isn't about avoiding pain. It's about transforming pain into strength, fear into courage, loss into love. You've created a galaxy without growth because you eliminated the very experiences that cause growth. The lead agent's form was flickering now, its perfect composure cracking. But order, stability, built on emptiness, Zara said gently. You've achieved perfect order by eliminating everything that makes existence meaningful. No wonder your civilizations are dying. Marcus could see something happening to the hegemony agents. Their rigid postures were softening, their mechanical movements becoming more fluid. It was like watching statues come alive. Aoi, the lead agent's voice was different now, less mechanical, more uncertain. We have not considered the purpose of suffering. Suffering isn't the purpose, Emma said, approaching the towering figure without fear. Growing is the purpose. Learning is the purpose. Loving is the purpose. Suffering just helps us figure out how important those things are. The agent knelt down, bringing its featureless face level with Emma's. You have experienced great loss, yet you advocate for the very emotions that caused your pain. Emma nodded seriously. Because the love was worth the hurt. My mom taught me that before she died. She said that every feeling we have is a gift, even the scary ones, because they help us understand what we care about. For a long moment, the clearing was silent except for the sound of wind in the pine trees and the electrical humming of damaged hegemony technology. Then, impossibly, the lead agent reached out with a silver hand and gently touched Emma's cheek. We have made an error, it said, its voice now filled with something that sounded almost like wonder. A fundamental error spanning millennia. It's okay, Emma said. Everybody makes mistakes. That's how we learn. The agent stood slowly, turning to face Zara. Your research, it cannot be suppressed. Will you try to stop me from sharing it? No, we will help you. If you are willing to teach us what you have learned here. Zara looked at Marcus and Emma, then back at the transformed beings. The human capacity for emotional resilience can't just be studied from the outside. It has to be experienced, felt, lived through. Are you prepared for that kind of learning? The three agents looked at each other, and Marcus could see them communicating in ways he couldn't understand. Finally, the leader spoke again. We are prepared to feel whatever the cost. Our perfect order has led only to emptiness. Perhaps it is time to embrace chaos, if chaos leads to meaning. Emma clapped her hands together. That's the spirit. Dad, can we invite them for dinner? I want to teach them about chocolate chip cookies. Marcus looked at these ancient beings who traveled across the galaxy to suppress human emotion, only to discover the human emotion might be the salvation they'd been unconsciously seeking for millennia. I think, he said slowly, we're going to need a bigger table. As the sun climbed higher over the Montana mountains, 3 damaged hegemony ships landed next to Zara's repaired craft, and The most unlikely dinner party in galactic history began to take shape. Marcus had no idea that this moment would mark the beginning of a new era in interstellar relations, or that his daughter's wisdom about chocolate chip cookies would eventually become required reading at galactic universities. He just knew that sometimes the most important thing you can do is invite someone to dinner, even if they're strange, even if they're from impossible distances, even if they came to hurt you, but stay to learn what it means to be human.